G'day there, Ray Corcoran here. In this week's video, I'm going to be going over how to make 2022 your best year ever financially. I'm going to be going over 5 steps to make that happen. So basically what you'll need to do is get a pen, paper, and you can sort of follow along as we go through each of these steps. And by the end of this video, you'll have kind of a bit of a game plan in terms of how you're going to build your wealth in 2022. So the first thing we're going to go through is quick wins. So this is largely around cost cutting, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. This section should take maybe a half day at most, but we want to kind of create some financial breathing space, if you will. So we want to kind of almost make a few grand straight off the bat. And create some extra savings, immediately. So the first thing that you want to do is open up your banking statement. Look at your banking statements, or look up. You've got your phone. Look up your app, and basically go through the last 90 days and look at all the transactions over that time. And basically, what you want to be doing is looking for anything that stands out. Anything that's unnecessary, anything that you could definitely stop spending on. And what you'll find is there's some transactions that you'll have to pay for no matter what, but there's going to be other things in there that it might highlight to you that you're actually spending probably a bit more than you thought on, and they are great candidates for things to take out. And don't underestimate this step. If you can create an extra $100 a week or $200 a week, that really does add up at the end of the year. So every bit counts, and especially early on, every single dollar counts in terms of building momentum. The second thing that we want to look at is some of your more common expenses, the stuff that most people would probably have to pay each year. So stuff like car insurance, health insurance, gym membership, phone bill, internet bill, utilities. These days, there's so many different cost comparison websites. So you can literally type in gas bill comparison, or you've got stuff like health insurance, all that sort of stuff. And you'll be able to find, quite easily find people that can offer cheaper rates compared to what you're already paying. And a lot of these providers will give better deals to people that are new customers rather than loyal customers. So, pretty much once a year, I'll look at all these costs, and quite often I'll change on a yearly basis, sometimes more frequently. And I won't spend too much time on it, but you can definitely save several $100s, if not thousands of dollars over the course of a year if you get cheaper health insurance, car insurance, all that sort of stuff. The difference can be quite significant, and this will probably only take you a couple of hours on the phone all up to do. So it's something that you can do today or tomorrow, and you can get it all done, start to switch over. And many insurance providers will give you a pro rata refund. So if you've already paid for 12 months, 3 months to go, they'll refund that 3 months if you cancel your coverage, and then you can go with somebody cheaper. So check your policy, obviously, but that's something that's available. Many of these services, if you either A, threaten to cancel, or B, show them that you can get a cheaper rate for the same service or similar service, quite often you'll be put through to a retention team whose job is to keep customers. Because for a business, it is cheaper to keep a customer than go and acquire a new one. And you can take that from me because I run a marketing agency. It's much easier just to keep and retain customers rather than, it's expensive to get new customers. And it's also a good habit to get into in terms of asking for a discount and being used to negotiating. The more you ask, the more comfortable you will be with it, and it'll just become less of a big deal. So it's good to get that muscle working on a regular basis. Part 3 of the quick wins is selling anything you don't need on eBay or Gumtree or all those sorts of sites. This is not meant to take days and days and days. Just go through all your stuff. You might go room by room through your house, or go through cupboard by cupboard, but just go through and look for any items. Stuff like electronics are usually quite popular. They're easy to resell. They're quite in demand, and you usually will get a decent amount of money for it. I would start with the more expensive stuff that you could sell, rather than selling like $1 and $2 little trinkets around the house. But it's a quick win. It can create, depending on how much junk you have at your house, it could be a few $100s, it could be a couple $1,000s, but we basically just want to take a few quick photos of everything, get a basic description, get it uploaded, and then we won't worry about it, and just let the money come in when it comes in. But that'll just create a little bit of a quick win straight off the bat for you. Step 2 is identifying your stupid habits. So we've had some quick wins now, we've got a little bit of momentum, but we want to look at what has been holding you back in the past as well. So you want to look at, we all have it. I have many stupid habits, but you want to have a look at what are the things that, what's the elephant in the room? What's something that you've been avoiding addressing for a long time? And this can take the shape of, many different types of bad habits. And you want to be brutally honest with yourself. If there's ever a time to revisit bad habits, it's, the start of the year. And you can look at it and just be like, you know what, I really got to stop doing that. And what I'd recommend is picking one of these things and making it a major focus to work on. Some of the bad habits will include stuff like, being really, really bad with e-commerce and online shopping. It could be stuff like, little cheeky, stuff on sports bet, gambling apps, that sort of stuff, $50 here, $100 there. These innocent little expenditures, they might be fun for you, but if you're someone that's early on and you really want to build your wealth, some of that stuff's got to either just got to go completely, or we need to reduce it a bit. So you still have your fun, but at least we make sure that we're not spending too much in that area. Other things include, saying yes to every single social event and having to spend at all those social events. It could be lending money to people that don't have money and are really bad with money and you never get it back. Your bad habit might be whenever you go out, you have too many drinks and then your spending just goes out the window and you just can't control yourself. It could be having a lease on a car that you probably should, it's probably too expensive for you. But that money just keeps coming out every single month. It could be spending way too much time on social media, so you don't actually improve your situation every single month. It could take a number of different forms. But basically, you want to look at any of these habits, and you might have one of them, you might have many of them. Be brutally honest with yourself about what can I do to start improving that or reducing the impact that's having on my finances, because a lot of this stuff, it might be little micro expenses, but that's going to add up over the course of the year. For me, one of my bad habits that I used to have in the past was I would say yes to every single social event. And even if they weren't, a big night, so to speak, I would go and spend money on a cab, I'd spend money on a couple of drinks, I'd spend money on dinner. And it might not be a massive night, but you're spending at least $100, if not $150. It adds up to quite a lot of money by the end of the year. And that's all the money, that's the gap that I should have been investing. And it's not to say don't go to any events, but I definitely found that I'm a lot more selective with which events I go to. These days I've got, a kid and a business and stuff, so I'm quite busy anyway. But in the past, I was just going to way too many events, and that money really adds up. You may have many bad habits, but just pick one and really work on that one, and it'll make a really powerful impact on your finances. Step number 3 is focusing on increasing your income. Now, this is one of the most important parts, and it's not something to be glossed over. A lot of people kind of give up on this. They just think, frugality is going to get them there. But the truth is it won't anytime soon. And for most people, they don't want to get rich when they're 60. They want to get rich sometime before that, so they can still have the physical ability to enjoy their wealth. And that's how I sort of think about it. You've got a few simple options when it comes to increasing your income. At a high level, it's working more hours in your job or within your business. It's either picking up a second or a third job. You could get a higher paying job. So if you work a 9 to 5, you can either get a higher paying job internally or go to another company and get a pay rise. Or 4, you can start a business on the side and start to grow that. One thing that I want to highlight is that your income does not increase by accident. 99% of the time it will be, you will make more money because it's planned and it's deliberate. We want to make sure that, if you haven't got anything planned this year to increase your income, you haven't got anything specific that you are doing to increase your income probably won't go up. It's like the gym, you don't just get more fit by not making some sort of plan to go to the gym more, to eat better, whatever it is. It's all about inputs and outputs. So I always focus on what are going to be the inputs that will allow me to make more money this year. Within my business, it could be stuff like hiring more staff. More staff means more capacity, which means I can make more money. More advertising could mean that I get more customers and make more money. It's all about what the input's going to be for you to increase your income. So what I'd love you to do is to ask yourself, what are the specifics that you are going to be doing in 2022 to increase your income? And leave me a comment down below. I'd love to see, what your specific action items are going to be, because the more specific you are, the more real it will become and the more likely you are to do it. Some examples of things that you can do to increase your income, and I've actually got separate videos on this, which I'll link to in the description, whether you have a 9 to 5 or whether you have a business. One thing that you could do is teach yourself a commercially valuable skill. Several years ago, I taught myself how to create and run Facebook ads. And I learned that from YouTube, Googling stuff, paying for courses about it, and obviously practice. So after doing that for a while, it was a skill that's very, very valuable to a business owner. If I can help them get customers through Facebook, that was very, very valuable to them. So they were willing to pay a good money if I could do it well. You can learn the basics for either free or under $100, $200. And that can make you hundreds of dollars every single month. So think about how you can invest in your skill set. If you're in a 9 to 5, I would do a bit of an audit of who are the people that are senior within this company? What are the skills that they have that I don't have yet? What are the relationships that they have that I don't have yet? Are they more prominent in the company than me? How could I raise my profile? Does your direct manager know that you have aspirations to move up to a specific role? Make it clear to them. You got to put yourself forward and present yourself as that person. You need to act like that person before you're in that role as well. Another thing you could do is start to build relationships with people that could advance your career. So when I first started started in marketing, I actually made a list of 10 people that I would love to connect to in the industry that had a great profile. And I made a list of 10. I reached out to 9, said yes to catch up. and I ended up meeting up with 8 of them or doing a call with 8 of them. So you never know, people are quite willing to give their advice, especially to someone that was probably them 10 years ago. That's a really, really great way to, start to increase your income and increase your, skill set and learn how the industry works so you can succeed in that industry. If you have a 9 to 5, a good one is to start connecting with recruiters in your industry. So recruiters, their job is obviously to place you in roles and trying to find you the best roles. And they often get paid depending on what the salary of the person is or the daily contracting rate of that person is. Their job is to try and make you money and get you a high paying role. So if you can get relationships with multiple recruiters and they actively want to meet you, like they want more candidates that they can place, especially quality candidates. If you're someone that's switched on, got half a brain and has basic social skills, they're going to really love trying to place you because you'll be an easy candidate to get the job. If you don't know what you're doing and you're socially awkward, that's going to make it harder for them to place you. Basically, if you have a number of recruiters always looking for roles for you, the chances of you getting a pay rise is much higher because they'll be able to give you, find you great roles that you might take, or you can come back to your employer and say, hey, you know what? We've got multiple people offering me more money for the same role. Maybe better working conditions or better, work-life balance or whatever. And then that can build a case. But all of those things lead to you probably making more money. Another action you can take is if you're in a 9 to 5, you can put together a bit of a business case around why you should get a pay rise. So you might be summarizing what your performance has been like, how your performance has been above average compared to other people, what additional skills development that you've done on the side, whether it's doing courses or training or getting mentored by other people, senior people within the business. But you can start to put together a bit of a case for, if you're adding more value than other staff members in your team or whatever, it makes sense for you to be paid more, and you can start to have that conversation. Step number 4 is focusing on accumulating quality assets this year. So the way that I kind of see it is that every single year I add assets to my portfolio, hopefully quality assets, houses that are positively geared, that hopefully will get good capital growth, investing in good quality, low cost, diversified ETFs, that sort of stuff. I really want to focus on every single year. I just want to add as much assets as possible to my portfolio because I know that if I do that this year, and then next year, and then next year, and then next year, it's just going to compound to the point where it's an enormous amount of assets. All of that can fund my lifestyle and live, nicely and have nice house, nice car, nice holidays and whatever other stuff that that I want to have or my family wants to have. And it might be slow for you initially. You might have to, depending on what situation you're in, you might have to pay off a bit of debt first. But once you've paid off a bit of debt, you've got your emergency fund, then you're starting to move into investments, usually probably safer investments to start with while you find your feet. It could be stuff like ETFs. It could be, buying your first small property. I'm pro crypto, but I probably wouldn't recommend starting with that if you really don't know what you're doing, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But the point is that, focus on, once you've got your financial foundation set, start focusing on accumulating assets. And it doesn't matter how much it is. It could be 10 grand. You might only add 5 grand of assets to your portfolio this year, or 10 grand. It doesn't matter. But next year you're going to have 10 grand to start with, and then you're going to add another 10 grand potentially, or 15 grand. And then years after that, and so on. And it's going to get to the point where you've got this, you've got a few $1 million in assets. You're still earning money because you've probably still got a few years left of working. So you're going to be in a very, very comfortable position. But every single year, add assets to your portfolio and just have that attitude that I want to have more stuff than I had last year. Regardless of what your financial needs are, it's just a good habit to get into. Just keep adding assets, keep adding assets, keep adding assets. Now, step number 5 is practicing daily commitment. Now, this is sort of what ties everything together. Making the plan is easy and fun and all that sort of stuff. And it might give you that bit of a dopamine hit because you feel like now I've got a plan. But the plan is nothing without the action. So really, really focus. And it's not about having one massive day where you get a heap of stuff done and then you get nothing done for 10 days after that. There's a really, really good book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, and I'll spoil the book for you. But basically it talks about, it's not about having like one massive day where you get stuff done. It's far more valuable and far more effective if you get a few little steps of progress each day, and this adds up, adds up, adds up, adds up, adds up. And I've definitely found that true for my career. And on a daily basis, I kind of just really focus on if I can just get a few things done today and a few things done tomorrow and so on and so on, I know that adds up. So I don't always beat myself up if I don't have a superhuman productive day. I just focus on, I need to make sure I get a few things done, and then I got tomorrow and I'll do that again and do that again, and just try and be really, really consistent with how much progress I make each day. And it's all about what they call micro discipline. So a lot of people think, oh, well, you know, buying that coffee doesn't matter, or going out on the weekend doesn't matter. You might have spent $300 on the weekend and whatever. I'm not about cutting coffees, to be clear, but adding these expenses on a weekly basis, it might be something like going out to fancy restaurants a couple of times a week or whatever it is. It really does add up. And in the early stages, it's really, really important. As you earn more, it doesn't matter as much because it's a smaller percentage of what you overall make. But early on, you really want to make sure that you're really getting ruthless with that daily discipline, and just making a little bit of progress. You know, there's nothing wrong with reading 10 pages of a book each day just so you get through the book. Eventually you will finish the book. So same with savings. I had points where saving $20 a week was a goal. Like that's, you know, it's almost pathetic, but that was where I was at that time. And then I worked on building it up. And then you can make your goals bigger as you go, but make sure you focus on each day, just trying to, you know, get used to that micro discipline. You know, someone invites you to an event, it could be $100, $150 probably by the time you get home. Just start getting used to saying no to those little events that start to eat away at your disposable income. So I hope you found those 5 steps useful. Hope that's going to give you a really, really solid foundation to, you know, build wealth in 2022. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I would love to hear below, you know, what specific actions you're taking to increase your income this year, whether it's books or courses or people you need to connect with. I love hearing that sort of stuff. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.